What is up guys, Wraec here with a new video, and today with a guide for Card Clash of Illusion. Card Clash of Illusion is the new repeating event in Idle Heroes. Basically this will now be a weekly event like Imp's Adventure, like all of the other ones that you know, and it's the newest one. So it's pretty cool. I really like it. I think they did a great job at it, and for most new players though, when you look at it the first time, it can be kind of confusing. So I thought I'd give you a guide on that and tell you how to play it. Basically, when you first start the game mode, you will be greeted with an empty board. 3 slots there, Team 1, Team 2, Team 3, each consisting of 3 spots, and there will be a boss with certain restraints. This is the stage 5 boss. It only has 2 restraints. Earlier bosses and some later bosses will have maybe 3. So keep that in mind. That is about the state you start in with. All of those stages are associated, of course, with the event resource. The event resource are your cards that you play on this board. They look like this, and you can get them through different sources. First of all, you get 7 every day for logging in. Then you can get them from value packs, and then you can buy 60 with gems, and you can also buy 60 with contract starry gems if you want so. Both of which are possible, so I could still go ahead and buy all of them with starry gems. So you can buy 120, which is kind of insane. The main thing that you do is drawing cards and trying to defeat this boss. And the way you do this is you start off by just filling up your board. That is basically your step 1, and you can see there are different cards. There is basically 1 card for every faction that we know. So there's a forest card, there is a shadow card, there is like a light card, there's a transcendence card, etc. It's not important which hero is displayed on there. The hero is only on there to show you which faction it is. So it doesn't matter if like Tix is a stronger hero than Wraec, or you won't have to worry about any of the hero abilities like defense down. That doesn't matter. It's just important that is a dark card. Those are 2 shadow cards, and this basically determines their value in this game mode. So that is what you have to know about those cards. But you also saw that every 3 cards I drew, I got 1 of those cards, and those are called support cards. And they are basically meant to enhance your team's power. Whenever you start a fight and you've drawn your cards, you want to pick 1 team that is the strongest, and you want to focus on buffing this specific team. So in our situation, this is not very clear, given that we have, well, it is clear. Okay, it is clear. You have to keep in mind the restraints. In this fight, Dark and Transcendence heroes will be the strongest, so the team that has the most Dark and Transcendence heroes is the strongest team. In here we have 1 Dark, 1 Transcendence hero, here's only 1 Transcendence hero, and here's only 1 Dark hero. So this team is the strongest, and we can make it even stronger, which you will see in a second. Then we have the support cards. Those are applied to the team, and we have different ones of those. We have some down below here already. We can preview the other ones. They are basically separated in 2 camps. The first camp is the first, well, how many cards are those? 9 cards. Those change the faction of a hero. As we already saw in this fight, Dark and Transcendence heroes are the ones that we really want to have. So if we got cards that change heroes to Transcendence or the Dark faction, that is of the highest value. I want to explain 2 cards for you now that are a little bit confusing, but you should know them because they are incredibly high value. The first card is this one. Turns factions of other heroes beside the selected target into the same faction as that of the selected one. What this does is you can select any card on the board, let's say this Transcendence hero, and the cards next to it, so the Wraec here and the Cthulhu, will be turned into Transcendence heroes as well. On a board such as this, where we only have 3 slots, it is not that confusing, but later on, the more you delve into this game mode, the more stages you clear, you will get extra slots, so later on you will have up to 7 slots per team. Meaning the placement of this card is very important. You want to get the biggest effect out of this card that you can, converting the most heroes possible, preferably on the team you want to buff to a desirable faction, in this fight of course Dark or Transcendence. The other card that you should know is this card. What this card does is basically you select 1 card in your team, and all the other heroes, no matter if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 slots, they become the same faction. This is probably the highest value card that we have in this game. This is super good because this just makes one team pretty much optimal. And those are the cards that you should know. Every other card here just converts a single hero to another faction. We have some of those and we'll display them or show them in a second. And then we have the buff cards. Buff cards are pretty cool. There is not too much that you need to know. Those here you can all apply to basically every team as long as there is an aura. This one requires an aura to be there. An aura in this game mode works as long as there are 2 heroes from the same faction. Then you have an aura. If you have more, the aura becomes stronger. Up to 7 heroes of the same faction will be an aura. So there are no mixed auras or anything. You just get an aura for having more than 2 or more of the same hero's faction in your team. So here we have an aura, for example. Here we don't, and here we don't either. So those 2 cards are only active if you have an aura. And then we have those 3. Those are specific to certain factions. They will buff your team, but only if there is like Dark, Light, Transcendence for this card, Fortress, Forest and Light for this card. And so sometimes you can have a situation where this card doesn't really help you too much because you want to focus on a team that has Restraint. But for example, if we have this one right now, Fortress, Forest, Light, that is none of the factions that are restrained by this boss, or that faction restraints that are active. So this card, in the current situation of our fight, would not be very good because it would buff heroes that are undesirable to us. Which means this is like the only situation where we really want to use this card on a team that is not our main buff team. We could like just throw it over there and send it to the boss. Because we want to buff our main team, of course, and this card would be useless for that. So other than that, you can just throw your buff cards on your main team. In this situation, I would start off with this Transcendence card because obviously our main team is up here, and we have one card in there, the Thuga, the Abyss card, that is undesirable. So we just convert this one to Transcendence card. So now we have 2 Transcendence cards giving us a faction aura. And we also have a dark card on there, which is pretty good. We can also throw this buff card on there, which brings our power to 43,200. And if we were unhappy with this, we always have the option to use this little button and click cancel usage, which will just give us our cards back without any cost. So you can do this as often as you want. In this situation, I want it. And now, basically, we've exhausted our options. And what we want to do at that point, when we have exhausted our options, we usually send the weakest team and let that attack the enemy. So let's do exactly that. Well, there is one more option that we have, I just noticed. We have no faction aura on this, and we have a pretty useless card. This is a card that converts a hero to a faction that is not restrained by, as it is not up there. So we can use it whenever. It is really not very useful. The only real use that we have for this is to enable an aura. So we also have a useless light hero there for this fight. So we convert the light hero, and this actually gives us more damage because we now have an aura. So now we send this, and then we can draw again and try to get another good team and maybe a nice card. We didn't get either one of those for this fight, so now we see it's just 30,000 final damage. We just send this again, we keep the card, there was no use for it right now. And let's see if we can get something better. We got the aura buff card. We can place this up here, buffing our team a little bit. But again, this team was not very good. We used the same trick as before, useless faction convert card. We place it up there, convert the Abyss card to that, and that gives us a little bit of extra damage. So we send that again, try to draw. That is pretty good. That is really pretty good. We got 2 dark cards there. Again, we use our buff card on our main team, keeping that card there. This team is actually better than the other one that we have here because we have 2 dark cards there. Really, we only have 1. So we send this one. And keep in mind, you want to defeat this boss, and you don't want to do anything more than that. So you want to, in best case, reach the specific points that you need to defeat this boss. Because once you actually defeat this guy, every card on the board will be wiped. So you can't store your support cards for the next fight. Everything will be wiped, everything will be reset, and you will start from an empty board again. So keep that in mind. There is a display once the boss can be defeated with the stats that you have on the board. This will not take into account support cards. So if you hoard support cards up here, you might overdraw. That's why we apply it here and put it on this team. So so the boss can check whether or not we have enough damage to defeat them. Right now, this is not the case yet. So we keep on drawing cards. The closer I get to defeating the boss, the slower I draw my cards because I wait for this X to appear. Whenever I have enough power to defeat the guy actually, and there it is. This last support card gave us enough. And what we do now, once we see this X appear, is we just send all of our cards there, and this will actually defeat the boss and grant us access to the next stage, and everything will be reset. And now actually on stage 6 we get the 4th slot. So that is basically the way you do this. Just check which team is the strongest at the start, and then you go and buff that team up, try to make it stronger, send weaker teams out whenever you have no more options, and you will be in absolutely good position. Sometimes, like here for example, there is no real good choice. We just have a little bit of an aura there. We have nothing good actually. But those are the same situations and those follow the same principle. Even though we don't really have anything to buff right now, you just play the game. You just select the highest power team, put your buffs on there, try to make it good, and basically then defeat as many bosses as you can throughout the fight. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask them below. Maybe one more thing that I want to add, but this is not specifically to that game mode, there is what is called challenge stage there. Per stage that you defeat, you get 1 card and you get buffs. You get 1 support card. The goal of this is to basically do as much damage as you can to the boss, and the higher the damage is by changing factions, by buffing it with buff cards, the higher your damage is, the higher you will be placed in this leaderboard. And this leaderboard is not for super big loot, but it's more for one of the coolest avatars in the game. So that is something to keep in mind. If you progressed fairly well into this game mode, you might have a chance at getting that avatar. So stay tuned for that, try that, and try to get up into the leaderboards. I think on Amazon we probably should be able to get in there. It's top 50, so okay, 50 we have 86k. That's not a whole lot. Maybe we can beat that. But yeah, so that's it about this game mode. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it answered your questions. And with that, I wish you a great day. We'll see us in the next one.